Hello, this is Megan Miller with Restoration Ranch, and I've been a little quiet lately, and the reason why is I ended up with a positive COVID diagnosis, and I want to share a little bit about my own experience with that today, and then also just kind of what's on my heart as we continue to navigate life in the midst of a pandemic. Um, my own experience was I ended up not getting sleep one night because a storm came through, and I from at 4 a.m. got woke up and didn't get back to sleep that night. And so the next day I was tired, had a little bit of a headache, and really just thought that's probably because I didn't sleep. and so we ended up doing some of our typical things that we had planned. I made sure that I didn't have a temperature and tried to do some of those precautionary things to make sure I didn't have any other symptoms of COVID. And went about, did these things, and then still wasn't feeling better by this was like a early Friday morning, and then by Monday my headache was still kind of being a bugger, and so I just thought I'm gonna get tested just to make sure so that we can isolate and keep other people safe if I do have this. I ended up losing taste that night, and then even before my test results came back, that this is COVID because it's such an odd symptom of COVID. So I did end up getting then a positive diagnosis by Tuesday. And so my family has been isolating as well, staying home, starting after I knew, I guess, that I had lost my taste. Then that's when we really started just being more cautious and taking the quarantine really serious. And during that experience, I wanted to just share some of my own experience to give you some insight if you haven't had your own experience with COVID at this point. But there was a concern that I had about, oh my goodness, what if I got somebody else sick and they aren't able to make it through? And a lot of worry about that. And also, it's strange, but maybe not in a lot of ways, but there was a lot of shame that I felt. I just felt like I should have done things differently. I wish I would have not been around other people so that I wouldn't have put them at risk. My own experience is actually my first husband passed away of a different virus, but a virus. And so if there was anything we could have done to help save him, I would have wanted to take those precautions. And so really just, again, just worried about, I hope that I don't put somebody else in that position of experiencing an everyday that's different because a loved one dies because I was around them and had COVID. And there's just this bad feeling of like, I must not have done things right if I got this positive diagnosis. And I think that's a challenge because we get sick all of the time. And of course, right now with COVID, there's more risk because we don't have things to help take that away. And so there's more fear associated with that. But really the shame was just kind of another layer that I had to keep telling myself that I was doing what I knew how to do well now, and then I was taking those precautions to help protect others. And so there was no reason to sit in that shame from something that was at this point out of my control, and I could only move forward with how to get better and then also how to protect others. And there was also, for me, in my own experience, I'm living with my family, and I was told that I needed to separate from them, stay on a different level, sanitize, have a different bathroom that I was using. And it was an adjustment for my younger ones. I kept saying, stay away, you have to stay back. Because, of course, they're just used to me being more available to them. And so that was also really hard to not have physical closeness with my loved ones as well, and then even having to tell them to back up and not to be close. And then, again, just the worry of what if somebody else got sick and I was the one to give it to them and they don't survive, or they really, really struggle or have lifelong implications because of getting exposed to COVID. So, and then it's odd, but I'm out of quarantine now, and I called the doctor's office because there was something that I just needed to get checked on. I was actually an orthodontist, and I let them know I had a positive COVID diagnosis, and that if they wanted me to stay away longer, that I could do that. And they did decide that they wanted me to not come in yet. And it's funny, but even that simple experience, which again was totally appropriate for them, and I can totally understand where they were coming from, but there was just this sense of rejection and like I was unclean or, not okay. And again, just the lies that in our head when we go through this experience of a really isolating experience, how kind of the mind games can really, I think, spiritually and psychologically just feel heavy and hard. So those are some of the things that I battled with, and then I had to be reaching out and asking people just for prayer and just to be able to listen to my story for a little bit so that I could get off my chest some of these things that felt heavy and also get a better perspective about them. So all of these experiences, I've just been sifting through my own experiences and trying to navigate how to seek truth in that. And then also holding the reality of just how polarizing and hard it is right now, I think, for people, and how to navigate living life in the pandemic in a good way. And to me, it comes down to this foundation of how do we love well. And I want to invite us. I know that there's a lot of debates out there. There's a lot of different ways people feel, but really thinking about what is the loving thing to do for another. Being able to let go of some of the differences and opinions and be able to really see and love the person in front of us, I think is so important, and really what, I guess, if you're a Christian, Jesus modeled loving people that were unlovable and navigating and letting that shine through. And so, again, trying to wrestle with our own initial responses to some of those things, but then being able to navigate, kind of finding a place where we can love and be able to tap into really seeing and caring for the other person, whether they have a difference in opinion or not. Also, I just want to encourage you, if you know somebody who has received also a positive COVID diagnosis, just to be able to check in on them. Just let them know that you're thinking about them. I had some wonderful people that asked, can we drop by groceries, or there are things that we can do? And I just really appreciated that when I was on their heart, that they had the courage or the, willingness to follow through and just be a light in the midst of some of those things that I was kind of going through in my own head. And so I think that that's something that we can break through some of those isolating feelings by reaching out and letting people know that we are thinking of them. And honestly, that not only applies to people who've had a positive diagnosis, but to other people who have somebody in their family or they themselves are medically at risk and that they have chosen to continue to stay socially distant and be extra careful during this time. I think that the duration of this experience of COVID has just been going for so long. And so I think that there's just a wearing that probably has to happen for some people as they continue to try to navigate, how do I stay safe, or how do I keep my loved ones safe? And so again, regardless if you share their belief system about whether they should be isolating in the way they should, being able to still reach out and love them and just let them know that you're thinking of them and really see that person. And then also, if you know somebody who has lost somebody to COVID or even just other natural causes during this time, or other experiences, just I think when it comes to grief, being able to reach out and learn to just listen and just let them know that it's okay to talk about their loved one. And even as the listener, we don't have to have answers, or we're not making somebody feel sad if we bring up their loved one, because they already miss them. They already are thinking about them. And by asking, you're giving permission for them to give voice to what's already there. And again, you don't have to fix that pain. It's connecting, and it's important to just be able to share story, and it's healing to be able to do that. And so just a few thoughts I have today about if you're navigating a positive COVID diagnosis or you're in quarantine, trying to navigate patience and hope in the midst of some of those things, or if you're staying socially distant and trying to navigate all these different belief systems that everybody has, just being able to trust you're doing the best you can, and so are the people around you, even if they're doing it differently, and really encourage you to give voice to your needs if you need somebody to talk to today. So I hope that you are all staying as healthy as can be, and that you feel loved and connected to somebody as you navigate maybe your own experience of grief, whatever that might be today. Take care.